set up this episode. 28.
I should get a backdrop. I should probably get a backdrop. So then I've got like
Let's go buy a green sheet. Just go buy a green sheet.
Professional stuff behind me, and then I can just put the green sheet in for being a nerd.
Yeah, and then on the background you can have like Thanos fighting Groot or something.
Oh God, yes. No, just the Thanos and She-Hulk cover. Have you seen that? Where they're like face to face, just like growling at each other. It's one of my favorite comic book covers.
I would do a green screen behind me, but I like my flag too much.
No, your flag's cool. I'm just like this is like my professional stuff behind me.
Yeah.
Like that's what people see when they meet me professionally.
Well, it's because you have like books, and books make you look smart.
Yeah, and I have to have some books for what I do. So like some of those books are things that like I have to have. It's a reference manual. We're done here. Moving on.
Moving on.
All right, that's a lot of microphone.
Oh, Holy Mackinac in the chat, hanging out with us. It's been a while. Sorry, buddy.
We do this on Twitch. I was busy catching the Christmas spirit last week, guys. I'm super sorry. It's my fault. Now we drink eggnog. I
think it's great that we're both drinking eggnog. Not planned.
Right? It's like the Marvel shirts. Like, what if we just wore Marvel shirts? I never talked about it.
I'm not wearing one tonight. I don't really feel like changing.
Oh, fine.
I've already hit start. We haven't really technically started yet, but okay, give me like 3 seconds.
Well. All right, there we go. Oh man. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. There'll be 2 of us tonight.
Okay, I'm ready now.
All right.
Cable is always here with the spirit. All right. I was just showing
Set the table for him.
Yeah. All right, hitting the button.
Yeah.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Maximum effort. In this war, there's no surrender. He's out of line, but he's right. Who the hell is Bucky?
You don't like a fair fight.
I think you're wrong. Which part? All of it.
Think you're the only superhero in the world?
Touché.
Touche indeed. And welcome back to the Rogue Agents. Welcome. We're here. We made it. We're slightly off time, but you know what's new.
We're a bi-weekly intermittent podcast.
Or something.
Weekly intermittent bi-weekly podcast.
You don't know what you're gonna get with us. Like it's just like each episode. Is that new ink? Who? Sam or me? Damn, did you get a new tattoo?
No. Nothing. Clean.
No,
What I have you can't see. Probably that.
I've had that for
You with the visible ink.
with the visible ink. Hope you guys enjoyed your next stream. I'm glad to see you guys up and running. Thanks, man. You never seen it before? Go check all the VODs. I'm sure it shows up in every single VOD. But I guess I can go. We can do this real quick. I don't know how to do this without. Okay. My arm. That's not that one. Okay. I don't know how to do this with like able to show it. I'll put pictures in the Discord. How about this? Basically, it's a monkey riding a unicycle, jiggling a grenade, a landmine, RPG, and some playing cards.
I've seen it now.
It's super fun. I went to the artist and I was like, I want a monkey on a unicycle juggling this. I don't care how it looks. Like, do what you want.
I love that you came there with the vision. Like you came in with the vision. Like
that's how a tattoo should be, shouldn't it? Like you just like This is what I want, and then let the
Yeah.
artist bring your vision to life.
See, so I used to think that, and then I had a bunch of friends. I had one friend that became a tattoo artist, and then like 3 friends that were hanging around a tattoo shop, and like they just turned into canvases for the artists who were bored, and just basically got done up.
But so you're at that point, like I think that's different because you're kind of going into it knowing they're gonna put whatever they want on you. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're kind of just like playing. But like if I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go like pay for like a tattoo,
For sure.
then like I have an idea of what I want. And I also, as like someone who enjoys art and painting and all that, I want to be able to give the artists like their artistic freedom to do what they want, because that means it's going to turn out a million times better. And I like new styles, so find somebody who's a new style artist, give them my idea of what I want, and say, do whatever you want. The colors you can pick. I don't care about the colors as long as they look good. And what's real funny is like the person who did my tattoo is actually colorblind.
Oh, neat.
But all the colors are like perfect too. Like real good. All right. Anyways, tangent number 1, ink. My tattoo artist has no tattoos. A cool guy though. He does makeup for
That's so
TV
weird.
movies. That's awesome though. I mean,
Wow.
he likes
Cool
art.
job.
Like, each their own. What were we gonna go on about? I guess hot takes, cold drinks. Sam and I both unplanned showed up with eggnog. His is homebrewed. Mine is store bought. However, I will say, when I was a kid, my dad had some homemade eggnog, like alcoholic variety.
Yeah.
That was like amazing. And he doesn't have the recipe and he can't find it for the life of him. And I remember tasting it one time. But basically, it was like alcoholic eggnog with the perfect amount of 99 bananas.
Oh, interesting. I can.
Yeah.
All right. I can see how that would. That's like
It
a
was
dovetail.
so good. Yeah, like the brandy and the 99 bananas like tasted so good together. Like I tried recreating it, and it just wasn't the same. Like it was like too much banana, not enough banana. Like they had like the perfect combination of what it was, and I'm so sad. Him and his friend used to get together like every year and make eggnog, I guess, and that was like one of their mixes that they threw together. And
Man.
yeah,
Have you tried? Do you have a jigger with like
Yeah.
the big cup on the top and the little cup on the bottom?
Mhm.
All right. Because like that's always like the first step. Is I always try to do like just like a big shot of something, a little shot of something else, like just to see how close it is. But
that's fair. I love eggnog. I love the taste of eggnog.
Would
It's
be
probably
nice.
like one of my favorite like mixed drinks. Like that, or I love White Russians too. I'm not gonna lie,
Same.
like because a White Russian is basically eggnog, just not as sweet. Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
White and cream.
I mean,
It's white and
yeah,
creamy,
it's
and like
creamy.
it's yeah.
my
Anyways,
So fun fact: White Russian was my first alcoholic drink that I ever had underage. I think that my dad might have had one. He had some friends over one night, and we had a refrigerator outside. So I went outside in the morning, getting ready to ride my bike to school, and I opened the refrigerator and I was like, "Hey, look at this giant glass of chocolate milk!
oh no,
Awesome! I'm just gonna chug this." Didn't taste as much like chocolate milk as I'd expected. Kind of had a weird flavor, and it was well, it was a ride to school after that. It was good. It was fun.
that sounds like a great
No,
school
no
day,
permanent
you know.
damage.
And this is how we got Sam.
It's been one of these.
Yeah. I guess other news for MCP has been kind of low. Shatterpoint's looking pretty
Quiet.
cool. I'm excited for it. I'm probably gonna get into it, and I think Sam here is too. And
Yeah, I think that most Star Wars IP games have to they have to be bad for me to not want to play it.
like
At least
Brobad too.
play it for a little while. Yeah, like it just. I don't know. Marvel was cool. It was cool to see a Marvel game. That's why I jumped on a Crisis Protocol because I was like, oh, that's fun. Superhero fights are cool. I like that. I definitely prefer a skirmish game though. So,
Yeah.
Legion was fun, but I didn't fall in love with the skirmish rules they had. And I don't know. X-Wing was fun for a time, but I kind of moved on from it. I want a little more hobbying to go with the hobby.
And now Shatterpoint. All right. What else? I don't think there's anything else for MCP really that came out over the past 2 weeks.
I haven't seen or heard anything.
Yeah, I've been very like away from Discord recently. Just
Same.
it's been nice to be honest. I think if anybody like ever just like feels like they need like a break, just turn notifications off of Discord and step away for a minute. It's kind of nice. It is kind of nice. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like it's necessary in this day and age sometimes. Just don't turn us off. 'Cause I like talking to you.
Yeah, for sure. I've still been weirdly busy for this time of year, so it's been a lot of being busy, and the boys are getting a little older, so getting time away from them is harder and harder.
I'd say it's been busy, but it's been like not busy at the same time. Like my free time like waxes and wanes so much of where it's at. So
I get that.
yeah. All right.
All right.
We did that. Challenge of the week from last week, wasn't it? Hypers.
Yeah, I believe so.
Wait, what did he want? I don't even remember
Or was
now.
it me?
Which-
No, I wanted Sentinels. I think I
okay,
said
yeah,
Sentinels.
okay. So Sentinels. Which one we got in here?
Oh man, these are some cool rosters.
You can't pick Matematic because he's running X-Men with Sentinels. You can't do that.
I can't do that.
No, you
it's
can't
no
do
good.
that. No.
Well, I think
Kenny or
There
Darth
it is.
Vader?
Darth Vader's got. He's the one for me because I like
Okay.
the Shield Sentinel pairing. I think that's a cool thing to do, even though he's not running any of the Shield cards. He can still do it.
You can still do it. You don't need to run. Yeah. I like
Plus,
it
he's
though
got
too.
Wong in there. That's cool.
Yeah, well, Juan's great with Sentinels. Like if you're playing Sentinels and you're not running Juan, like you're missing out.
Mhm.
He's also like got like so many robots. You got Prime, Mark IV. Iron Man's kind of a robot.
Right.
Cassandra Nova's might as well be a robot. She's got no emotions.
All right, we'll give it the Punisher seal of approval.
All
Darth
right.
Nader, great roster.
All right, there we go
That's
with
fun.
that. Okay. I guess we can move into the main topic and do the rest later.
All right.
So this week we're going to be talking about cage fights, or just being cagey. Really, it's just easier to call it cage fights. Yeah, we're going to talk about cage fights. Your local game store cage fight. Make sure it's underground. $10 entry. Winner takes all.
training to be a cage fighter, Napoleon.
I don't know if that's what you want. I don't know. I don't think I would do very well. I'd probably just try to be the guy's friend. Be like, "You want a hug? Like, you want a hug? Like, don't hit me."
I'm a hugger. He's like, oh, I like to hug. I've had a couple of friends that were fighters. And
Yeah.
they're like some of the nicest people I've met. Just kind, gentle souls. And then
They just
you
like to-
like
They just like to punch
watch them
stuff.
fight. Yeah. And they definitely get it all out.
Maybe that's what people need in life. Like all these people like going around angry and like shoot places.
Right?
Maybe they just need to like get into like organized fighting.
Just go fight each other.
Just go fight each other. Duke it out.
Everybody be happy.
Anyways, topic is cage
I'm
fight,
sorry.
like how to play the game being cagey, because being cagey is
How to be
actually a
cagey,
very useful skill in knowing when to do it, like when is the right time. And I think going off of like piggybacking off of the last episode we did talk about Weapon X and how aggressive they're going to be, being cagey is actually very good into a very aggressive team, because what do they want to do? They want to kill you. If they can't get to you to further their game plan, then the game state and there is not progressing in their favor because they're not hitting their game winning requirements. Versus you, your game winning requirements are I need to survive and I need to score points. And theirs are I need to take out models and score points on the side. Well, you're taking away one of the requirements to win, which means being cagey is in line with what your strategy should be. So let's define cagey. Sam, what do we mean by being cagey?
Well, that's kind of hard to do. That's why I think this is a good topic. But I think because I mean we've referenced it so many times, right? Like you just got to, the situation where you got to play cagey, right? So like, what is playing cagey? I think that playing cagey is largely not committing, at least not committing too early and not committing too much. I think that it's a lot easier to point to examples of not being cagey in Crisis Protocol, like rushing out with your first activation and doing a check on a Kree core. That is not being cagey. Even if you do it with a character with stealth, even if you do it with Toad, like that's still not being cagey.
Well, on
You're
the
showing your hand, you're committing to something straight away.
granted, on the flip side of that, I think X-Men's a great example. Like their leadership is 100% used a lot of times for being cagey, where I'm going to run up, grab a center objective, and then run back to where you can't even touch me.
Right.
Or utilizing the X-Men jump to be able to get in, get out, hit and run types of teams. People that can get into a spot, do what they need to do, and then get back out to create distance. It's all about creating that distance to where you're less efficient with your actions at attacking or doing damage in general.
Right, making it so your opponent is less efficient.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah. So some of that's like range management. Range management is a skill that I think that players who have come over to Crisis Protocol from X-Wing, range management is something that comes pretty naturally to us because in X-Wing, right, you have these set range bands. Crisis Protocol, we have set range tools, right? So they're not the same thing. They're not all like the same size, but being able to understand you've got a range 2 attack to avoid, you've got a range 3 attack to avoid, you've got a range 4 attack or more, right? And understanding where you need to put your character and how far you can move without just opening yourself up for getting rocked on. So you're basically like trying to kind of bake in a stagger to any sort of move that you're doing.
Absolutely. So, I'm trying to think, like, where would it be bad to go cagey into something?
Like playing it into something that doesn't have a whole lot of teeth. I don't think you have to play very cagey.
So if
like,
I'm playing a team like X-Men, I think X-Men is like the perfect example of like cagey, because you can just like flip on a dime of
Sure.
being cagey or not being cagey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm going into, let's say, Web Warriors that are led by Miles, and it's on a D. I think that's probably a perfect example of when you don't want to be cagey, because if you turtle up and you just kind of say, you can't hit me, nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo, then they're gonna be like, I didn't want to hit you anyways, so I'm gonna go run over here and get all the points.
Joke's on you. Yeah, I think you can play a little more aggressively against somebody like Web Warriors because they've got that one turn where they can dish out a whole lot of damage. But other than that, other than that, and even during that turn, you're still just they're a variance team, right? They have good defense dice, but their attack dice are typically just kind of throw and see what sticks.
Yeah.
Which means sometimes you roll 10 dice and don't get anything. It also means that sometimes you roll those 4 Miles dice and you're like, I don't know, I just figured I'd try, and you get 6 hits in a throw. So who knows?
So I guess the next thing on that though is just like, how do I recognize my need to be cagey versus not? I think that's probably like the biggest link in this chain to understand is like, when do I need to realize my pivot point, or when do I need to realize that this game I need to play cagey? Is this all just down to repetitions, or is there going to be something that people can be like, look at the opposing player's team and be like, all right, I need to go cagey this game? Because obviously you can't go cagey every game. You can't just be like, I'm going to be cagey and there ain't nothing nobody can do about it. And you can't be like, I'm going to be aggressive and there ain't nothing nobody can do about it. You got to have that full faceted or faceted, whatever the word terminology is, to be able to flip on the dime and adjust your game plan.
Yeah. And so I think some of that starts in turn 0 and what you're actually bringing to the table from your roster, right? Because sometimes, and so to answer the question, right, I think that largely you have to identify if you're going to be the aggressive player in that game. If you're going to be the aggressive player in that game, you're probably not looking to play very cagey. Black Order has some cagier plays with Thanos where you're kind of saving your Thanos, holding him back a little bit, and there's other times where you're far more aggressive with him. Even though Black Order has a reputation for being very aggressive to play against, some of that doesn't work if your opponent is being cagey because they're just not going to give you the opportunities. And really, you have Corvus, who's going to be very aggressive, and you have Thanos, who's going to kind of facilitate that aggression. But at the same time, Thanos needs to do more than just move a few pieces around on the board when you're playing him in Black Order, at least. And then on top of that, he has to be there and he has to be healthy. Otherwise, he loses a ton of value. So you've got to find a way to get him engaged, but at the same time, you also need to keep him safe, or at least safe enough. And so playing cagey is a lot of the time about determining where the aggression is going to happen on the board, and trying to determine that based off of, in turn zero, you're just based off of the crises that have been selected and what you know about your opponent's roster and their preferred lines of play. And then you've also got the tools that you're bringing to the table. And then once you get to round one, that's when you're actually trying to, we've deployed at this point, and now you're trying to find out where you think the action is going to happen on the table and how you can basically make your opponent waste as much of their actions, right? Because actions are one of the very limited economies in this game, right? Characters typically got 2 actions for as long as they're alive up to, round 6, beyond if it's a weird edge case game. So that's a very limited economy, and it's pretty much fixed. So I think that anytime you can make somebody waste an action, you're probably doing something right.
Yeah. Would just trying to think of like other good examples of this and like how to implement it the best way possible. Like maybe like do you think it's
I don't know,
worth
it's like a mindset almost.
it?
It's like
Yeah.
like a mindset more
Well,
than
because like
a
you could
play
play,
style.
you could even play, let's say Weapon X. You could play Weapon X super cagey if you needed to.
Mhm.
Like, I'm just not being as aggressive as normal, and I'm gonna go ahead and go off this way, and then I'm gonna come swinging back round 3, and that's when I'm gonna pivot and not be cagey anymore.
Right.
So I think,
cagey. So sometimes cagey is just like using terrain to your
yeah,
advantage, right? So you're just gonna like, okay, if I can stand on the point behind this building, you don't have line of sight to me. I'm size 2. It's a size 3 building. You've got to come all the way around, or you've got to get on top of the building and contest it. And at that point, we're going to be within range 2, so I'm not worried about the cover anyway, right?
yeah,
So some of it is just positioning. Some of it is like you can have a cagey strategy where you're basically going to try to clap back, right? You're going to be like, okay, I'm going to kind of sell out early. I'm going to get kind of worked by some of these models, and then I'm going to pull back into like a, basically like force some sort of a kill zone for my opponent to walk into. And, like that's like a trap, right? So some of being cagey is also like creating traps, I think.
Well, it's like I used to do that with Malekith, where like I'm not gonna grab a hammer. You can grab that hammer. Go ahead, pick it up.
Yeah, it does.
I'm gonna like
It's
just do a
yours.
bunch of stall plays until my opponent becomes overly moved up, and then it just turns into all right and attack. I think Holy Machina has a good point here. Perhaps when you want to control certain pertinent aspect of the game, I think you can be cagey in one aspect of the game and very direct in another.
Sure.
That's another good point. Like there's
Well
some
put.
games that are so wide and split that you can have one half of the game you're being super cagey on, and the other half of the game you're being super aggressive on, or
For sure. Like
being
Infinity
cagey
Formula
with
is a
one
huge one for
character.
that.
Yeah, or
Mhm.
any D shape. Like you can also just be like cagey with one character. Be like, I'm gonna save this character back here in the corner. They're not gonna be doing much except for sitting on this back point, and then they just rush into round 4, and I have a full health character who's been like stalling the entire game, and now they're coming through to wreck phase.
So I think characters that have good action economy, you usually have a lot more options for playing cagey, right?
Yeah.
So like a character like Miles that can basically triple move, or characters like a Zemo who can with a charge, right? A long range charge. You do have pieces that are going to be better at cagier play than others. So maybe you can put a cagey character or 2 into your roster, or maybe you've never thought about your roster that way, and now you're looking at it and you're like, oh wow, I've actually got a ton of cagey characters in here that are hard to pin down, have some sort of a defensive tech or ability, have good mobility, and have something that your opponent will like want to remove from the game, right?
Yeah.
So like Magic, for example. Magic's got, I think, like 3 out of 4 of those qualities. She doesn't have much in terms of defensive tech unless you're attacking her with a mystic attack. But like here's a character that's got a lot going on and has a tactics card that's just gonna basically no way to stop it. It's just gonna send you downtown, and that's gonna happen. So I think that's a good example of a character that you kind of need to play cagey with, but also has the tools to be a cagey character effectively.
So if we're gonna say cagey is more of a mindset, could you build a competitive, effective roster that is built around the core mindset of being cagey and see consistent success with it.
I think so. Largely, I think Shield is a KG roster
Mm-hmm.
because Shield with Eye in the Sky, you're constantly threatening your opponent with a wasted action. Because even though they get that additional action after Eye in the Sky happens, usually it's like, well, I moved to attack you, and now I can't attack you.
Yeah.
So, like, even though I have another action to spend, I don't get to do what I wanted to do with it. And I think that largely Shield has a KG play style. They can be a little more aggressive because of Eye in the Sky. They have a lot of damage output, but there's also a lot of fragile pieces that need a little bit of protection. And I think Shield's, good enough. A tier, we'll call it.
Tier.
Good enough. Like, I
Good
don't know.
enough. Good enough. Good enough tier.
Fine. They're fine.
William Mike and I think that perhaps Web Warrior is probably the best out of the cards that you play. KG, Brace, as for safety, fallback. He's talking about Shield still. So yeah, Shield has good stuff to play KG, but I think Web Warrior is probably the best. I think the top three for me would be like Web Warriors, Shield, and probably X-Men. Like the X-Men hop is just huge to be able to like. I think X-Men's kind of like a pivot team though. Like they can start out KG and then they kind of end up pivoting and
Yeah, they can go either way. Like,
yeah,
they're a very flexible team that has a lot of options. I think the Convocation has some pretty cagey plays.
yeah.
Like, I don't know, the most success I saw with Convocation was basically like trying to convince people to come and walk into my web of Convocation characters, right? And which meant that I was constantly trying to keep them safe, but also kind of central to each other.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange, that other guy who's really good, and Magic was my core. And so with those three characters, I had a lot of displacement options, both for myself and for my opponents, and just the ability to turn somebody off. Like you had some amazing versatility with those pieces, and now they just tend to vanish, like most other pieces in this game.
Fair. Come back to last
But I
week.
think
That time to kill, you know.
Right? Yeah. It's definitely a different game now than it was 6 months ago, which is good, because that means that we have a chance to explore new things, like being super aggressive. Which
I think this
I'm
comes
very
back to
excited
like
do.
how the releases are with this game. You basically have a meta shift every single month.
Right.
And that's really not a bad place to be for a game. If like you don't have you never have a constant meta. And there's always room for innovation and trying out different and new things. And that's a really good place for a game to be. And MCP really lends itself to being able to push those boundaries of trying different things. And then people get stuck on like, this is the best and nothing can beat it.
Which is only unfortunate when it's true. The rest of
Yeah.
the time it's fun because it just makes it gives you things to practice against and like benchmarks to beat, which I think is one of the most enjoyable parts of gaming for me, is seeing the things that come together out of the wild and then being like, okay, I want something that will beat that and not lose to the rest of the field. And that's the kind of stuff that I love building.
Absolutely. All right. What else should we hit on for being cagey? It's kind of
Yeah, it's amorphous, right?
yeah.
What else is being cagey? So I guess we could do a little bit of like, not like bat raps, but like, just game scenarios that I remember, like feeling like I was doing a really good job of being cagey. Like I played a triple Hulk list for a little while. That was fun with Hulk, She-Hulk, and Hulkbuster. So I played a game at 20 points that was Hulk, She-Hulk, and Hulkbuster on like Krekor and Terrigen Mists. And I was playing against like a 7-wide Guardians. And I was trying to keep my Hulk alive with an Okoye and a She-Hulk and like some various tactics cards. And all my Hulk did that game, and it was disciplined. It hurt my heart to do, but all he did was walk up, throw Ronin, and then walk back. every turn. Just because I did not want to risk my entire board position on Hulk getting judged or giving his Ronin a chance to throw me with a wild throw.
Yeah.
And just basically just get Ronin out of the way so it wasn't ever going to happen. And he either would have to come in and get some from one of my other characters, or I would just continue to walk. I think it was, yeah, I couldn't double walk. Maybe it was a scroll then. Must have been a scroll, but we played at 20 points. It was fun. It was a fun game, but it was very disciplined because I did not have a lot of options and I had to keep Hulk alive. So that was a cagey Hulk play.
Holy Mackinac in the chat. Do you think games that allow pre-measuring make it harder to play cagey? I don't think so, because even when you don't have pre-measuring, it's like that just feels more like luck. Like you're like, oh, I'm just in, awesome, or oh, I'm just out. Like you can't really plan around it. Versus like MCP, where you can be like, okay, well, I'm just out of 5. They're gonna have some backdoor way that they can get like in range or something like that. And
Right.
like being like perfectly just out of range kind of like gets to the point of like, I don't really know how to like say what I'm thinking, but it's like I don't really sit there with sticks and like measuring perfect. I'm always like, I'm either in or I'm out, whatever. Because I don't want to sit there for 5 minutes like perfectly measuring all the different avenues, because that's like boring for me and my opponent, in my opinion. And
Right. I'll do it, but I try to keep it to a minimum. Like I'm not gonna do that on every play, on every move, on every this, on every that. Like every now and then I'll be like, okay, this has to be like exactly what it's supposed to be.
But I don't think allowing pre-measuring makes it harder to play cagey. I actually think it makes it easier to play cagey, especially for newer people who aren't like, oh, that looks like a 5 or that looks like a 3. Like newer people can like be like, it allows newer people to like try and play with more of that cagey mentality, because they know they could put down a stick and take a look at it. Related to that question would be, what do you think is the most important component of cagey play? Mindset, situational awareness, etc. I'd honestly say situational awareness, like knowing like
Yes.
what you have available to you for options and what your opponent has available to them as options, and understanding what they can do to get around you being cagey. Like if I'm being cagey, perfectly all well and dandy, like, but if they have a Thanos who can just go in and pull me out of my cagey state, then it's kind of like,
doesn't matter at all.
what's the point of me being cagey and wasting my action setting something up like that when he's just gonna pull me out of it anyways? So situational awareness, I think, is like key to doing good cagey plays.
I hate to agree, but I would also agree that situational awareness is huge for cagey play. I think that, to go back to the original question, no, I don't think that it makes it harder. I do, again, agree that it makes it largely easier, and that it turns the weird attempted gotchas into something that is either like, oh wow, even I didn't see that, I'm brilliant, or it takes the guesswork out of it. It's something, again, going back to playing X-Wing and trying to guess at a range band. It's like, oh, I'm definitely going to be out of 3 here. Whoa, I'm not out of 3.
Looks like I can shoot or get shot.
Right. It's good and bad. It's good and bad.
I do think, I don't know, like the feelings of pre-measuring versus not pre-measuring, because I've played both throughout my years of gaming, and I've just always enjoyed games that had pre-measuring more. What I don't like, though, is when a game goes from no pre-measure to allowing pre-measure. That's annoying. But like if your game is like made with like pre-measuring in mind, then that's kind of like baked into a lot of the rules. You don't realize it a lot of times, but like if pre-measuring is baked into the core concept of the rules, then like that's designed into the game rules as well. Versus if you have a game that like was designed with no pre-measuring, that's designed into the rules as well. And people could be like, well, and like then like with like no pre-measuring, a lot of it's like left up to luck and like your player skill to be able to make reference points on a board when you're measuring and doing all this stuff. And like it just creates a whole entire another avenue of thought processes and math and all sorts of stuff. So I just prefer pre-measuring because it simplifies things, in my opinion.
I like this level of pre-measuring.
Yeah.
I understand that there's like a whole nother level beyond Crisis Protocol pre-measuring. Like proxy bases and things like that. And I would say that if MCP would just allow all pre-measuring, like golly, that would certainly like make it very specific, right? Like, okay, like because there's a lot of questions that have come up on the forums, over time that winds up being like, hey, I didn't realize it. This is a proxy base. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And if they took that off, then a fair amount of the rules questions could disappear. But I like this level. It's more than X-Wing had or has. I haven't played for a while, so I don't know. And it's less than the trigonomic perfection required to play.
The thing I like about proxy bases is just like a lot of times it makes for like a cleaner. Yeah, like a cleaner play.
It would be so much easier if I could just be like, okay, I'm going to move Zemo, put him down long, put a base in, move the tool around, move him down long. Like, there it is.
Yeah.
And you could unwind things a lot easier. But I understand where it's at. I like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
agree. I like it where it's at. I don't think it really needs to change. Just, I think it's definitely interesting to talk about though. That's a fun one. Yeah, I think overall being cagey pre-measuring helps it. Because a lot of times it comes back to like what I was saying, what Sam was saying is you're either just in or you're just out if you don't have pre-measuring. If you're pre-measuring, you know where you are. And it's not left up to luck. Yeah, you should.
If it's
or you're
close,
like me and you don't
close,
care.
you can force it. If it's close, you can almost always force something out, right? It's hard to force something in because you're like, I can't get any further. But if you're trying to get out of range from something that you're moving towards, it's always easier to stay out of range.
Yeah.
Which is what you want when you're playing cagey more often than not, is to be just out of range.
All right. Anything else you got on cagey, or do you want to hit up some other stuff?
Well, I guess one thing that comes to mind is back when I was playing X-Men like a year ago, before they were good. One of the things that I would constantly do with them, I used to say that X-Men makes you a better player. Just playing X-Men makes you a better player because it was fundamentals play. I think that a lot of being cagey and cagey plays is understanding those kind of fundamentals. And so I had this decision tree that I realized I was using without even trying. Like, it was like, because I was just like trying to win on objectives without getting too bogged down in an attrition game plan with them. And I really, like, it was like attacking was like the third or fourth thing down the decision tree because it was always about something else. It was about scoring points, taking damage myself, setting up for next turn. And if I still had an action left, then I was like, okay, I guess I'll shoot something that's in range. Because everything else that I was trying to do was about positioning myself on the board to be where I wanted to be for the game and the game state going forward. And then any sort of attacking I did was just like icing on the cake. Like, okay, I'm going to try to, I guess, maybe I'll get the wild push. We'll see what happens. It only gets better if I get the wild push instead of putting myself in situations where I was like, well, I'm going to need this wild push or this game is over.
Yeah. That just comes back to like being like adaptable. Like, don't get stuck into like one game plan. If you're saying, okay, I'm playing cagey this game, that might change halfway through the game.
Right. Stay adaptable.
Okay. I guess we can move on to sales pitch of the week. Do you want it?
Oh man, we had a really good suggestion for sales pitch.
That reminds me, I have like challenge of the week winner from Patreon like back in October, and I kept forgetting to like say it. I'm a terrible person. Let me find it while you're trying to find that. That's it. Good radio right here,
Yeah, this is solid. Just silence. We're here for you guys.
We're here for you guys.
Oh man, who was this? Man, no, this is all.
There it is. Okay, challenge of the week. Here it is. From Mantis Toboggan, back in October. Oh man, I'm sorry. Wants a list with Cyclops as a leader, Wolverine and Jean Grey, and using the Jean Tactics card. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So Cyclops leader, Wolverine, Jean Grey with the Jean Tactics card.
Nice. That's pretty solid. I think we did Lockjaw. I think I did Lockjaw.
Yeah, you did Lockjaw. Because I remember you're at the bestest of boys.
Best
remember
as the
that.
boys. Yeah. Captain Marvel. I could sales pitch Captain
All
Marvel.
right,
I've been
dude.
playing
You got Captain
crap
Marvel.
out of
You
Captain
got
Marvel.
it. Okay, you go ahead and
Captain
ramble.
Marvel. Captain Marvel's super fun. Play some Captain Marvel. She's in the core set, so like you have her if you play this game. First of all, is she outclassed by Vision? Probably, but like most 4 threats are. So don't let that be the deciding factor. Also, she did get that like tune-up last year, so she's better than she looks. If you're not familiar with her new stat card, she's got a cheaper throw, cheaper binary form, and I think an extra defense somewhere. But she's cool. She cancels energy attacks with her reverse pierce, right? Maybe not the best thing to bring into Malekith, but she does stagger. So she's like, she's got tools to bring into the big boy. She does really good against bigger, thicker models in general. Her range 4 energy attack gainer, where she can reroll any dice, is an incredibly efficient attack, especially if you can get binary active. I've been playing her in humans because that's been fun. Funneling power into Captain Marvel to go binary whenever it makes more sense than funneling power to Medusa, and get her binary, get her rolling 6 dice, and she turns into a range 4 Magneto at range 2. So she's really fun in terms of output, so long as your rerolls matter. And she has a size 4 throw, which I think is just incredibly underrated in general in the game. Number one, she has a size 4 purchase character throw, so it's not attached to an attack. It's a superpower. Pay 3 power, make something size 4 go away. Man, is it short or medium?
Medium?
I want to say it's medium, right?
Pretty sure it's medium.
I am almost positive, which means I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, it's true. It's probably short.
Medium.
Okay.
Throw it medium once per turn. So she's got 6 health on both sides, 3/4/3 defenses. She's got a real basic physical strike at 5 dice, range 2, but it's that energy blast is really the attack that I use, and she can be wildly super duper cool against energy attacks in binary form where you just don't take any damage. And then she's got 2 really cool immunities for the game in Incinerate and Poison immunity. So her power generation is pretty darn consistent, and she's also got immunity to Incinerate, so her defense stays exactly where you think it should be.
Nice.
And I think that, yeah, Mackinac mentions in the chat here, that Pyro coming out is going to make Incinerate pretty prevalent.
You're not wrong.
So immunity to Incinerate could become a lot.
Because they have to be incinerated for his card to make you drop something, don't they?
Yeah, and
That's
everything
kind of
he
big.
does just like,
That's kind of big.
just yeah.
I like it.
I think he gives out an Incinerate like candy though. It's
Yeah.
just like, if you get an Incinerate, you get an Incinerate.
Beam incinerate. Let's go. We thought shock
Right?
beams were good.
Incinerate beams is better.
All right. Listener questions. Jim Ramar. I recently was gifted a set of models for the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. What models would these be good proxies for it to keep a theme-ish for the characters while also trying to play to an affiliation? Huh. Fantastic Four. Who's like the closest to the Fantastic Four, do you think?
Well, there's the OG Human Torch, Miss Marvel, Hulk, and somebody really fragile. Maybe like Black Widow. She's got stealth,
Yeah.
right? And then, yeah.
So Avengers. Avengers, there
Great
you
question.
go. I can't think of it. Like that's probably the closest you're gonna get to it. What about Doom though? Who'd Doom be? Malekith.
Thanos, Malekith. Yeah, any of the big bads, right? Like pick your favorite 5 or 6 threat and just call it Doom.
All right, Tony Schultz. Which of the currently single leader
Ooh,
factions?
Sorcerer Supreme. That's a good one. I like that. Holy
Oh,
Megaphone.
for Doom. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Fitting too.
Which of the currently single leader factions would benefit most from a new leader? Options include Defenders, A-Force, X-Force, Wakanda, Shield, Asgard, Sentinels, Winter Guard, and Guardians. Spider Foes, Inhumans, Suns, Dark Dimension. I'm gonna be a chill here and say X-Force, because why not? Honestly, like X-Force has like some of like the best characters in the game. Like they have some of the best 3 threats, and they're kind of anchored down by, I guess,
just a
like
5-threat leader. Just having
Yeah,
a 5-threat leader is.
And so I don't want to say that Cable's like terrible because he's not like the worst of the
No.
worst. Like he's actually
It
pretty
just-
good.
it-
Like
it just
he's
pigeonholes
got
you.
he's got one of the best kits. It's just at certain threat values, it's like impossible to play Cable.
Yeah.
So it,
I mean,
like
yeah.
right.
Right.
like the 5-threat thing. 5-threat leader, I think, is just a bad design, to be completely honest. Unless they have a 3-threat or 4-threat already. Like go ahead and bring in that big threat leader after they can actually play like more spread, in my opinion.
So I think that the 5-threat leader factions are the ones, or affiliations are
six,
the ones.
A-Force.
Yeah, but it's the 5-threat ones I feel like need the most help.
Yeah.
Because A-Force has a deep roster, and the tactics cards that come with A-Force are pretty darn incredible.
Yeah.
You can play leaderless A-Force. It's not the most fun thing to leave your leader at home, but they have a lot of options without Jen still. Whereas I think that Asgard with Thor, X-Force with Cable, and Defenders with Doctor Strange. Oh yeah, and Inhumans with Black Bolt. they're in, like, you have one game, and if you get thrown off that game plan, then you're in a much tougher spot. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like you have to be on your secures or on your extracts or something like that. I mean, like if you get thrown off your point value, that's where it really starts to get uncomfortable. Like the Asgard roster that I brought to NashCon is 17 and 18 threat crises, and that's all it had.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to play on not 17 or 18. And fortunately, 17 is really common, and 18 was actually my preferred space. And so it was. I only played a couple of games, not on maybe. I might have played them all.
Ours
on like
was
18.
14, I think.
17, 18. Well, that was, the Nova roster is different. The Black Order one.
Oh, you said no. Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, that was 14.
Yeah.
NashCon, did I say I meant to say NashCon earlier.
I think you said NashCon, but I heard Nova. One or the other.
Fair enough. I think that at 6 threat, the leader is a lot more, like, I agree that A-Force needs help and should definitely be on that list. Because again, if they get thrown off of, I think that they're more scenario dependent than the other ones, where you literally want to be running a specific like game plan, and if you get thrown on a different crisis that's out of your game plan, then it's a lot more uncomfortable. I think Asgard can hang on that kind of stuff a little better than A-Force can, because I think that at that point the danger is in your 6 threat leader just disappearing. If you wind up on like Researcher or Gamma, and then you're like, oh, what if I just didn't have my leader? Like I didn't mean to be leaderless, but now I have. So I think that Defenders probably need the most help. I don't know who you give to Asgard, because I know, like, it's not that I don't love Lady Thor. It's that
Beta Ray
Mighty
Bill.
Thor.
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
How
but,
cool
like,
would that be? How
he should
cool
still be
would
like a
that
5
be?
threat. Like he should still
that's
be
fair.
like a 5 threat.
That's fair.
Be like, which flavor of 5 threat leader do I want? Inhumans have some easy ads, I think. Defenders.
X-Force
Just
has a
needs the street
shit
level.
ton that they could go through. You could.
I would
literally-
love to see some Krakoa X-Force come through for that. Like I'd love to see like CIA Beast as an X-Force leader.
So honestly, like new Beast, like X-Force leader Beast is the next X-Force leader I want, because I 100% see it bringing like an actual tactical leadership to them, and that's what they need.
Right. Yeah. Something movement.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
That's what I
It'd
want.
be cool because something Krakoa tech could work pretty
Yeah.
cool there too. Like, I don't know, like wish lists.
Hey, Christmas is coming. Christmas is
all my cool toys.
All right, next, Blundy. So with Weapon X almost certainly including OG Wolverine, that makes him the most affiliated character, and has a plethora of tactics cards he can use. Could this mean that he is effectively unbuffable? If he's changed too much, it could have a lot of unforeseen consequences. Number one, I'm not gonna say that he's almost certainly included in Weapon X because they've done some crazy stuff with affiliation lists that I don't bank anything on that affiliation list until I see it in writing. Just because like there's some stuff that I'm just like, what? Where's this character? Like Omega Red and X Force. Omega Red should be X Force
cover.
Yeah. Or like what?
A-Force
Like
cover where A-Force is unaffiliated on the comic book.
yeah, like Ghost Spider. I can't think of all of them right now, but anyways,
Ghost Spider, Elektra, Jean Grey are the
Yeah.
three that come to mind. Yeah.
but it's like I don't put any stock in like Marvel Universe and MCP of like what should and should not be affiliated.
Well, they're snapshots, right? So
Yeah.
if
And
X-Men
it's like-
Wolverine is like the snapshot of not Weapon X Wolverine when he's
Yeah.
no F that.
Yeah, because like it could literally be that where it's like the yellow suit, 90s cartoon Wolverine has nothing to do with Weapon X. It is possible that they just go that route. But granted, he still is like one of the most affiliated characters. I think it is a valid question that he does have a plethora of tactics cards he can use. And it could potentially mean that he's effectively unbuffable because of the breadth of like things available to him. Because if they gave him that one little edge of be like, okay, he can interact on his flip side now. Okay, he has a 6-die builder now. It's like, okay, well now he's the most broken character in the game because of how many options he has available to him on top of the buffs he just gave him. Which is maybe that might be why he is the way he is. It's because he can go so many different places and he has so many different ways to use him. Like
He definitely has a Steve Rogers tax on him.
Yeah.
With his three cost charge.
Mm-hmm. So it's
Already.
literally like I wouldn't say like him being almost certainly Weapon X, but I would agree that I could see him like the amount of stuff he has available to him probably makes him unbuffable and probably won't see much changes to Wolverine. And if it does, it's gonna be super minuscule. And if he gains something, he's probably losing something at the same time.
Could he lose a threat?
Threat and health. If you make him like a what? Make him like Deadpool.
just
Make
doesn't
him
make sense.
make him like Deadpool. Make him a 4 on the front side and a 6 on the back side.
No.
There you go.
No.
Then he could be a 3 threat.
Don't do my boy like that. I don't know. I think it's a legitimate question. I think it's a really like fair point. He may not. I mean, they've already said they don't want to buff or change anything like again anyway, right? So I think that the answer here is that we're getting a new Logan instead of Logan change.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I always enjoyed Wolverine. I never like
He's just a high roll character. That's
saw
all.
him
Like
as
it's
an X-Men. Yeah.
yeah.
Like the characters I played it. I played him the other night. I put him on the table with Colossus and X-23 and Storm,
Mhm.
and I had a fun game on Sword with that team, just like rolling dice all over the place.
Yeah, he's just
Like, he did
that's
some
what
cool
he does.
stuff, and then he
Like,
popped,
yeah.
and then he came back and popped a rogue like in response. Like it, I don't know. It was cool. The only time I've ever actually been like disappointed with him is when you don't do any damage on a Berserker Barrage. That's
Yep.
when you're like, F this card.
Which is at least
Done
like
with
once a
you.
game.
Yeah. It's at least once a tournament, which is why
Yeah.
he probably doesn't see a lot of high level play because you never know when
It's gonna
your
fluff.
Berserker Barrage is just gonna crap out.
Ooh. All right. It's just Rari. How do you plan for a big con? 2 months out, are you tuning a list, throwing stuff at a wall to see what sticks? So Nova was what, August?
Yeah,
And we knew about Malekith in July?
yeah. Ish,
No, we saw
yeah.
no, we saw him in June.
No, Mini
because-
Extravaganza. Yeah, that was what, June. Mini Extravaganza was June.
So yeah, 2 months out.
No, it's supposed to be June. Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
month and a half, 2 months out.
So yeah, I'd say 2 months out is when I really started like, but it was 2 months nonstop of me just jamming games.
Yeah, I think you did something similar for NashCon last year too.
Yeah,
Right,
Right.
like,
I was like,
you
I'm
went to
playing
that.
X Force, nothing but X Force. Got to make the
Yeah.
perfect list. ASM, oh my god, he's amazing here. Moon Knight, oh my god, he's amazing here. Week before, you can't play with them; they're not out yet. It's so salty. Curse you, Nate. But
so
no.
you're a planner.
Yeah, I like to plan it out. Like I would say 2 to 3 months out is when, like I know what I'm gonna be taking to that event 2 to 3 months out.
Right. Uh, I go both ways on this. I tend to get locked into a list early, and then I either grind that until the event, or like a day or a week or a month before the event, I'm like, actually, I don't actually want to play that at all. I'm gonna play this.
That's how Nova
So
went for you.
doing well, that's exactly what Nova was, because I did Asgard going into NashCon. I started playing Asgard like hardcore. Like I didn't know what to bring to NashCon, so I started bringing Asgard to game night just to be like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna play, and like this is like turn my brain off, just play some MCP and have some fun playing Asgard. And so I got like a month's worth of games and teching and testing, but like that was a roster that like I felt was already pretty much solved, like well before any of the NashCon testing happened. I was looking for like one card in a month
Yeah.
of testing, and like I wound up not even playing it. Like that's how that card has been in that roster the entire time I've played it. Like it doesn't matter what I put there, it never hits the table unless I'm like, I'm gonna test this, so I'm gonna put it on the table. And then Nova, being like 2 weeks after NashCon, the obvious choice was just to play Asgard again, but I didn't actually want to do that. So I just I spent like those entire 2 weeks not having any idea what I was going to play, and then picked up Black Order like 2 days before, and didn't settle on the roster until I like packed my bag to make the trip.
Yeah, I
So
tried convincing you Suns at like 2 o'clock in the morning or some shit like that.
you did. And you know what? If they had more paint on them, it might have happened. But there was no paint on those models. There's no base paint. Like I have like base coats on almost all of them,
Yeah,
but like the actual bases themselves are unpainted. I was like, I don't want to bring a bunch of unpainted bases, and I am not going to jam out a bunch of bases tonight.
that's fair. All right. Well, that's gonna finish us up. Is there anything else you would like to say tonight?
Tonight, I would like to say thanks for bearing with us over all of these shows away that we've had. The holiday season and the lack of MCP news has made it somewhat hard to talk about things sometimes.
Yeah.
And now, here we are. We're coming into the Christmas season, so I'm sure we'll miss one or two more over the next month.
Maybe.
But Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you're into, and thanks for hanging out with us again.
All right. And with that, we have been the Rogue Agents, and you have been the listener.